Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Morning, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Hope you had a nice weekend. Hope you had some relaxation, some fun. Maybe got into a little bit of trouble. Not too much, just a little bit of trouble. And you had a good weekend watching baseball, watching football, spending time with the family, going to the beach, whatever it might be. Hopefully you're awake on a Monday morning and you're ready and happy and good to go. My camera's off again. Jeez. It looks even. I don't know what's going on. I look pretty even. What the hell? Let's just go with it. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Thanks for joining me here on Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. We're here every day, Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We go about an hour, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have guests on. They all arrive about a half hour into the show, so about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. On Mondays, it's the one solo day, so it's just me today. So I'll be rambling on. Monday also happens to be the only day we do one sport. On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we do multiple sports. On Mondays, it's just me talking baseball. So here's what we're talking about on the show today. Let's throw it up on the screen. We got some guys coming back from injury. We got some guys going onto the IL, as always. We've got some call-ups, and we'll talk about all of that here moving forward. Kershaw, Kirby, Spencer Strider, Jared Jones, Tyler Mahle, Hayden Birdsong, Cole Ragans, Seth Lugo, Noah Cameron, Jack Caglianone. It's a big day for the Royals, if you will, here on the show. Jordan Beck, Spencer Horwitz. And then we'll talk in about a half hour, 20 minutes, 15, I don't know, in a bit. We'll talk about the waiver wire, a lot of moves being made over the weekend. And we'll see who spent on what. I made multiple moves in a bunch of leagues, so we'll talk about that. That's what we do every Monday. We look at the FSGA, LABR, and Tout Wars to see who is adding whom and give a little bit of a breakdown. I have no notes. We talk about this all the time. The only notes I have is the list you see. We just freeform it here on Mondays. Lots of ways to get involved with us at the show. If you want to actually leave comments or questions or whatever it might be during the show, there's 3 places you can do that. Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite, or on YouTube at YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. You can leave that there. And you can leave comments, questions, concerns, all that throughout the show. You can also type in Fantasy Sports Daily to your podcast network and listen to the show at any point, wherever you consume your podcasts. And you can always go to FantasyGuru.com, click that Elite Plus tab at the top of the page, and there you go. John G said, I ran two 5Ks this week, and good for you, John. I could maybe do one. I surely wouldn't be doing 2. The first one I won your age group. The second one I had the honor of pushing a young man who is battling. Well, you got to win the race, John. You got to win the race. I raised a lot of money for him, by the way. Good for you. Oh, you're pushing a young man who is battling cancer. Pushing for. I don't imagine you actually pushed him down. I probably read that wrong. But good for you. Raising money for a good cause is fantastic. Being healthy for yourself is terrific. And if more people thought about the other, we'd probably be in a better shape as a society. Okay, so let's get into it. Oh, by the way, you can see that on the screen in purple. For those of you that have missed it, it's one low price for the rest of the season. All the baseball stuff we're doing, we're running a special right now. I don't know how long it'll last over at FantasyGuru.com. It's $75 for everything we do for baseball. Rankings, seasonal articles, DFS, cheat sheets, breakdowns, raised plays, betting, whether you want to do parlays or lines or player props. All we do over at FantasyGuru.com, one low price of $75 for all the baseball coverage. I'm involved in all 3 aspects of what we're doing over there. If you like my work, even if you don't like my work, there's others involved over there. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page at FantasyGuru.com. Send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com, support at FantasyGuru.com, and let us help you to have some fun, to have some success, and hopefully to make some money here in the final 2/3 of the season in Major League Baseball in 2025. All right, let's throw this back up here. Boom, boom, boom. Let's get to it. Clayton Kershaw is back in our lives. Hey, Clayton Kershaw. And it's an ongoing storyline. Blake Snell was officially placed on the 60-day injured list, so he's out at least until June. We already knew that anyway with a shoulder issue. We still don't know when he's going to be back. We still don't know when Glasnow is going to be back. We don't know. What we do know is right now Kershaw is back. Kershaw allowed 5 runs over 4 innings against the Angels on Sunday. Wasn't a great debut. good matchup for him to return in, but not a great debut. I'll say the same thing today that I said last week, that I said 2 weeks ago. It's Clayton Kershaw. Other than a handful of starts in last season, whenever he's been on the hill, he's been very good. Age is obviously against him now. Where is his stuff? Where is he at physically? All these questions are legitimate questions to have. But Clayton Kershaw, in the vast majority of leagues, should not be on the waiver wire, despite the struggles that he had over the weekend here. Only 2 strikeouts, 3 walks. He settled down after the rough first inning. We'll see here. Again, if you're in a 10-team head-to-head league, whatever. I already answered a question like that in Discord, and the decision was let's move on from Kershaw for now. But again, that's a 10-team head-to-head setup. For the majority of people out there, Kershaw should be on some team. Maybe not your team. Maybe you've done a good job with your pitching staff. Maybe you've made moves. Maybe you had a good draft. But someone in your league, if it's a 12-team league, I think should have Kershaw on their roster right now, and we'll see how it plays out. George Kirby, speaking of big-name arms, obviously the Mariners were supposed to be killing it, right, with their pitching staff. That's the strength of their team. They're struggling right now, obviously. Kirby, at least we have some good news with. I think it's good. Gilbert's got good news. He's trending in the right direction. He's throwing some bullpens. We don't have a timeline yet for him. We don't have an exact timeline with George Kirby either, who's coming back from the shoulder issue. But he is joining the Mariners in San Diego for the road trip. So there is a chance that he's going to make his next outing at the big league level. I think it's a pretty good chance at this point. He's made 3 starts down at AAA. He was hitting 97, 98 at his last time out. Hopefully he'll return against Chicago to face the White Sox, which would be a pretty soft landing spot for him to make that first outing. So we'll keep an eye on that this week. For those of you setting your lineups, they have to do it on Monday, like I do in some of my leagues. Tough, right? Like he should be back. It could be this week. It may not be till next week. I'd be reluctant. I wouldn't suggest anyone starts Kirby this week if they only have the option to set their lineup today. If you can set it during the week and things change, okay. But obviously, good news. He's trending in the right direction from that shoulder issue, who we initially heard was no big deal, and then it's going to cost him 2 months. So good news. He's trending in the right direction. He's getting close. He's getting close, folks. At least the Mariners are getting one of their guys back off the injury list right now. Another guy returning off the injury list is Spencer Strider. Now, he's been out with the hamstring injury. We talked about this on the show. The fact that, he was thrown the other day in that simulated game and his velocity was down. Well, the Braves has said they didn't think he was hurt or it was a big deal. And that looks like the truth because he's expected to take a spot in the rotation this week. There was some debate over who would hold on to that 5th spot in the rotation. It's not Bryce Elder. Bryce Elder has been demoted to the minor leagues right now as A.J. Smith-Shawver. With his strong work here the last 3-4 outings, will maintain his spot in the rotation. So Strider comes in for Elder. The expectation is, I think that Strider starts tomorrow. I don't know if that's confirmed. I'd have to check that. I think it's tomorrow against the Nationals. And if you got Strider, you can burn him if you got him, right? It's a team he can beat. Obviously, he doesn't have to be at his stupendousness to be the guy that holds an opponent in check. Spencer Strider, let's hope the hamstring holds up. It's arm, now it's the hamstring. It's probably no big deal long term, but love to see him get out there and get going here because we've got issues. And this is one of the guys that I was able to draft last season in our rookie draft in our Dynasty League, and he was fantastic last season. That's the Pirates' Jared Jones. Fantastic last season. This year, he had a setback in his throwing program. He's meeting with the doctor tomorrow. There is nothing officially known. There are rumors circulating, of course, about Tommy John surgery, elbow surgery. It's starting to look very much like 2025 is over for Jared Jones before it even got started. Now, again, nothing official will, I assume, here either tomorrow or early Wednesday because he's supposed to visit that doctor on Tuesday. Tough news, tough blow. What are you going to do? We just battle on. We go through it. We work through it. The point of mentioning is, number one, so you're aware. But number two, really, this is what we talk about all the time. You never know. Jared Jones, there were no hints, right? It just happened. He had a sore elbow, and they put him on the injured list, and then he's fine, and then he has a setback. And I say it all the time. You want to play in an offense-only league? Everyone says no. Everyone bitches and moans every day about pitching. It's weird. I don't know. I don't quite get it. But it's just something to think about. And it's also, and again, we've talked about this year after year. Playing in an offensive only league, which I know a lot of people don't want to do. Okay. That's why a lot of people have gone to the betting market or the DFS market because they don't want to deal with stuff like this. If you still, Ray, come on, that's ridiculous. We're going to play a full, okay. I've said this a lot, and we've actually had a more difficult time than I anticipated getting a provider to create half-season leagues. I think that has got to be something, and I say it every year, and with each passing year, it seems to make more and more sense. We've got to create half-season leagues. I run polls all the time, and people are kind of like, it's May 19th. How many of you have like 8, 9, 10 guys hurt? And 4 or 5 of them are pitchers. Like, where you can't go, what are you going to the waiver wire to get? And then you start getting to this point where it's like June 15th and you're like, football season, right? Right? I mean, it happens. So half-season leagues, redraft at the All-Star break. Maybe you had Kirby. Maybe you had Strider. Maybe you had Jared Jones. Maybe you want a pitching aggressive approach. It's been terrible. Would you do it again in the second half? Would you like the opportunity to check? Anyway, so it's something to think about. I know a lot of people don't agree, but I think it'd be really good for the sport. Tyler Mahle, with all the guys, the big name guys that we're just talking about, guys like Strider and Kirby and Jared Jones, it's Tyler Mahle, who we did talk about on this show before the season began, as somebody that, look, you want to take him in your last round pick, that kind of, okay. 6 innings of 1-run ball against the Astros. His ERA is 1.5. And he continues to be terrific. Now, he's set to face the White Sox next. So logically, Tyler Mahle is going to get blasted next time out, right? That's what's going to happen because that's baseball. You look at Mahle, and again, he's got the 1.5 ERA. His whip is 1.98. Now, a real big long-term concern is a strikeout rate of 19%. That is not good. What is his CSW? CSW is 26%. His swinging strike rate is 10%. So he's pitching to a lot of contact. He's also not getting anybody to chase. His 26% O-swing rate is way below the league average. So no one's chasing anything. He's making his pitches. He's hitting his spots, and he's keeping the barrel off the ball. How long can that continue? Well, his batting average of balls in play is 222. As we know, no chance that holds on. His left on base percentage is 88%. As we know, no chance that holds on. I don't know if you can trade Mahle for anything. I think if you could trade him to somebody who believes he's the top 25 pitcher, and again, to me that's crazy, but who knows in your leagues? If you could do something like that, it's time to trade Tyler Mahle. Because beyond the concerns, 0.33 home run per 9 mark. Beyond the obvious concerns there is the fact that this guy, last through 100 innings at the big level in 2022. Same time, people might look at him and just say he's starting pitcher 68. And if they look at him that way, maybe you just hold him. And you say to yourself that when it starts to go, when that, the tip of the tipping point is reached, you move on. And you say to yourself, well, he gave me 10, 11, 12 good starts, and who cares? He was my last round pick, or I picked him up after week 1. So Tyler Mahle's been terrific. Really difficult to see this continuing moving forward. Hayden Birdsong is back in our lives. Hayden Birdsong, who I did take. I took him in Tout Wars. What was it? The 28th, 29th round, something like that. And my hope was he would gain the 5th spot in the rotation. He didn't. It went to Landen Roupp, who we'll talk about in a second. The good news for Birdsong is that he's going back into the starting rotation. Jordan Hicks has been a mess. And the Giants, I guess at this point, just said, look, we got this younger version in Hayden Birdsong. We got this guy who's pitched well last year. He's pitched very well to the bullpen this year. Hicks is just messy. Yeah, he throws hard, but he's just messy. I don't know if Hicks is going to long-term go back to the bullpen where he's had a lot of success or stay in the rotation. I think the Giants have a big decision to make there. Demoting him from the rotation at this point leads one to think that the Giants are at least planning in 2025 to use Jordan Hicks out of the bullpen. In terms of Hayden Birdsong, again, we talked about this guy in the preseason. I'd add him if you have room. I'd add him if you're in a deeper league. Understand that, he's not built up right now. If he throws 60 pitches, that'd probably be pretty good, right? Then next time out, maybe 70 pitches, then maybe 80 pitches. So it's going to take a little bit of time here because even though he's thrown some efforts where he's been more than 1 inning, of course, out of the bullpen, but he's not stretched out. And the Giants obviously will be careful with that. So Birdsong is more of a long-term addition. Again, he's looked really good. Kyle Harrison was the guy that we thought was going to be the guy we'd be talking about with the Giants, and it just hasn't happened. Birdsong has been the guy. He surpassed Harrison. Harrison can't even get to the big leagues at this point. Hayden Birdsong's in the rotation. And for those of you in deeper leagues or bigger rosters, Hayden Birdsong is definitely somebody you should think about. Now, Landen Roupp, who we talked about on this show, and we said, look, the numbers look bad, but let's not overreact here. He's actually pitching better than the numbers suggest. 6 scoreless innings against the A's on Saturday. And, let's pull his numbers up. His numbers still, I think, are pretty average, but they're definitely trending in the right direction. He's got the ERA down to 4.1. The whip is 1.43, and that's the real standout number, the 1.43 whip. 328 batting average balls in play? No. He is walking too many guys at just over 3 per 9. It's not a terrible mark, right, by any means. But he's just, he was kind of living on the edges, and everything was kind of going against him. Now he's living on the edges, and things are starting to go. His last 3 outings, 2 runs earned, 0 runs. Now, he did give up 4 and 3 runs in those 3 outings, but in the 3 outings, only walked 2 guys. So he's starting to round into form, and Roupp is definitely, at least at home, somebody you could consider as a streaming option. I prefer Birdsong, fully Birdsonged over Roupp, but he's just not there yet. So if you're wondering which of these 2 guys to take a shot on, and you have time, you're not in a head-to-head league, you got to win today, I would lean toward Hayden Birdsong. Cole Ragans has been placed on the 15-day injured list with a groin issue. This is obviously something he's dealt with previously. Last time it cost him 1 start. This time it's going to cost him at least 2 starts. We'll see. Seth Lugo, who led baseball in innings pitched last season, if I remember properly, he's been placed on the injured list with a finger sprain. So the Royals have the double whammy of having their best pitcher, Ragans, their most stable pitcher, Lugo, out, which means Chris Bubic is pitching today. He's got a lot on his shoulders now, does Chris Bubic. But the fact is that Ragans and Lugo are both down. We don't have exact time frames for either one. Both guys could be back in 15 days. It's possible that happens. In the case of Ragans, obviously, we've got kind of a flare-up again of that groin injury. They got to get this right. You can't have this happen. You can't have another setback at some point in a couple of weeks. So maybe it's a little bit longer than 2 weeks just to be sure. We'll see with both these guys. So what do they do? Noah Cameron's the guy that's been called up from the minors. Noah Cameron is a streaming option in most leagues. Head-to-head leagues, is he someone you're starting every time out? I don't think so. In smaller leagues, he's short-term pickup because, again, either Ragans or Lugo will lose their spot in the rotation when healthy. Neither one of them is expected to miss a tremendous amount of time. So Cameron is more deeper leagues, streaming options, a talented guy, one of the better pitching prospects in the entire Royals organization. And I think we'll see him a little bit here when we talk some FAAB. Jack Caglianone, just to point it out, another guy with the Royals. He's been promoted from AA to AAA. He's getting really close. Now, the problem for Caglianone is they've got Salvador Perez spending a lot of time at DH, and they've got Vinny Pasquantino at first base. So where does Caglianone play? Good question. We don't know. But he's been on fire at the minor league level. His OPS is about 950. He's hitting well over 300, driving the baseball, one of the better power hitters in the minor leagues right now. He'll be up at some point, but we'll see when that is, because we don't need a Jordan Lawler situation where they call the guy up and then they kind of don't play. Yeah. Speaking of calling up John Heyman, this news came out this morning. Matt Shaw, who I've been asked about a bunch of times, Matt Shaw is going to be promoted. And so here we go again. We've talked about Shaw in the preseason here on this show. We wrote about him over at fantasyguru.com, scouting reports. We talked about the quick trigger the Cubs had with him in season where he was terrible at the start, but they got rid of him after less than 70 plate appearances. He went down to the farm, had 6 home runs and 5 steals, hit about 290. So they're calling him back up. Got to figure he's the everyday third baseman for this team. There was a lot of talk about Bush and Ballesteros and, what's going on here. So we'll continue to follow that storyline and see how this plays out and what roster move is made. Let's see if I can find that real quickly. See if the news has come down. I'm scrolling through here. Eloy Jimenez is on the injured list. Wow, what a shock. Would have never expected Eloy Jimenez to go to the injured list. That's just crazy. That never happens. Okay, so I'm looking. I haven't seen an official report yet on what the decision made. I hope it's not Ballesteros, who I actually added in the league this weekend. We'll talk about that in a second. All right, a couple more guys before we move to the waiver wire. Jordan Beck had a couple of home runs on Saturday. It wasn't Zach Veen, it's Jordan Beck. We talked about this when this situation played itself out. Beck has done a much better job of making contact of late. He's driving the baseball well. Zach Allen is really struggling. Beck took advantage of that. Beck is a part of our lives now. Now we just wait for the Rockies to do the right thing and promote Zach Green so that we can get both these guys as part of our lives. And then finally, Spencer Horwitz, one of my favorite guys, Spencer Horwitz, low-key player, multi-position eligible, an on-base percentage guy, more of a table setter, like a number 2 kind of hitter who's going to play first base on a daily basis for the Pirates. If you're in an on-base percentage league, and Horwitz, who's been activated off the injured list, if Horwitz is available, he's a nice addition because he will get on base, and he does qualify at 2 positions. In terms of excitement level in a 5x5 league or even an on-base percentage league, we're not excited, but he's a nice piece. And again, with all these guys going down with injuries, having a guy who's a multi-position player is never a bad thing. Not a speed guy, not a power guy. He's just kind of a guy. But again, with a good approach and should play on a consistent basis for the Pirates. So keep an eye on him if that's the kind of thing you need. You need a stopgap, short-term pickup, on-base percentage, multi-position guy. Spencer Horwitz might be the guy. Jeff G says, hey, Ray, any thoughts on Chase Burns with the stash in an NL-only keeper roto league? Yeah, I'm surprised he's not on a roster right now. Jeff, I don't know your rosters and your composition and all that, but yeah, Chase Burns is one of the better pitching prospects, certainly in the National League, if not just all of baseball. In a keeper league, I also don't know your keeper rules, but in a keeper league, that seems like a prime guy to stash. And again, I'm really surprised. I'm surprised he wasn't drafted, to be honest. You guys must have some small rosters because he's someone certainly to dream on. But yes, Burns obviously he's somebody that's going to be in our lives this year. I think that's fair. Let's pull him up. I haven't checked out his numbers a bit here. 7 outings in the minor leagues this year, 48 strikeouts in 30 innings. He's only walked 8 guys. I think we see him this year, later in the second half. Certainly we'll see him next year. And he's been dominant on the farm, so absolutely. There we go. Angelo says, I'd like to add Drake Baldwin. I'm not dropping Herrera. Yeah, tough call there. Both those guys, the youngsters, getting it done. Herrera's return from the injured list and been crazy good. I think Baldwin was like 18 for 36 or something like that. He's kind of taken over for Sean Murphy with this recent hot stretch. It's been phenomenal. If you have either one of those guys, Angelo, you're in great shape. Chris D says, Ray, I'm in a head-to-head league. When is it too much to have multiple players from one team? That's a good question. I think it matters what team it is. Is it the Pirates? Is it the Yankees? I don't, in football, like people will target wide receiver and quarterback as an example. In baseball, I would never, I wouldn't say I would never do it. I'm not going to say I would never do it in baseball, but I don't draft or pick guys up off the waiver wire because they're teammates. I would say to myself, well, who's hitting leadoff for the Yankees in front of Aaron Judge? Yes. Right? There was a batting order change with the Orioles. Where's Cedric Mullins sitting now? Okay. What does that mean for, where's Kyle Stowers in like those kind of questions? Batting order, I think to me matters more than teammate stuff. And again, it matters how deep your league is, Chris. It matters what your starting lineup is like. It matters if we're talking hitters or pitchers, like all these things come into play. Generally speaking, I don't think there's an answer. I don't want to have Goldschmidt, Bellinger, Judge, and Volpe. Like I don't want to have 4 guys from one team if I can help it, especially if I'm only starting 10 to 14 guys. If that's how it worked out, okay. Now, again, that's different than if we're getting 4 Pirates. We're getting 4 White Sox, or we're getting 4 Rockies. So I think you have to judge all that. But ideally, it's not a question that I often run into because with 30 teams in baseball and all the options you can pick up, I don't think it really comes into play that much, Chris. Good question, though. All right, let's talk a little bit of FAAB. Let's throw it up on the board here. We do this every Monday on the show. We're going to talk about the LABR League, 15-team mixed league, $100 to spend. In this league, you have to have money to make pickups all season long. You can add nobody for $0. Every player has to be added for $1. Causes the bids to be a little bit reserved here. Dalton Rushing went to me for $4. As you can see there at the top, a couple other bids at $3. We'll see with Rushing. I mean, again, we'll see what happens here with Rushing. I'll just put it that way because there's no. I mean, my second catching spot is a nobody. I mean, it's Kyle Higashioka. So my 2 catchers are Gabriel Moreno and Kyle Higashioka. So I just went for it. Let me make a note here. I got to make a change. So I just went for it. And whether Rushing is, up all the time, And he's stuck here. He's 4 for 10 with a couple RBIs in the early going. We'll see. Ballesteros, added him for $3. Okay, here we go. He's 3 for 12 with a run scored. I'm hoping again that he's not the guy that gets demoted today. If he's the guy that gets demoted today, poopy pants. So we'll see. This is how these things play out. I went for it. Is it ideal to have Ballesteros, Moreno, and Rushing on the same roster? Absolutely, 100% no. It's also a 15-team mixed league, and my team is terrible in this league. My pitching is 6th best. My hitting is 3rd worst. I just got to get bats. I'm still waiting on Acuna coming back. I just lost Evan Carter last couple days ago. I've lost Garrett Mitchell, Tristan Cassis. Like, I just need offense. So I put the pedal to the metal and went for it. We'll see. Again, I'm not recommending people do this, but in my setup, I'm just going for it, and we'll see how it plays out. Jose Soriano, I bid $7 to win Soriano. The other bids were 3, 1, and 6, so I had the right price point there. I'm starting to get a little bit low on bidding here. I'm starting to take some shots because I realize my team's just not good, and let's just go for it. I mean, and I'm not saying there's no difference between finishing in 11th or 14th, but there's really not. So I'm kind of going for it here. On the hill, I lost Bryce Miller this week to injury. He obviously hasn't been very good anyway, so I replaced him with Jose Soriano. And if you look at this team here, I mean, look at this. Like, this is my pitching staff now because of the injuries I've dealt with. Picked up Jake Irving, picked up Miles Mikolas, picked up Chris Paddock, and now just picked up Jose Soriano. Like, that's, and again, 15-team mixed leagues. I don't know if any of you used any of those guys at any point in your head-to-head leagues. You probably have. But that's the situation we're living in. So Ray's scrambling, trying to finish middle of the pack. Has not gone well this season for his labor team by any stretch of the imagination. Mick Abel went for $7, failed bid for $3 there. So same price point as Soriano. To me, Soriano is way more locked in to a spot in the rotation. As John G said here, it's likely that Abel is going to be sent back to the minors because they basically announced that Taijuan Walker is going to be in the rotation. So we'll see. I mean, you never know, right? We'll see. But 6 of 100 is not a big price point. It's a pretty big price point to pick up a guy that you don't know if he's going to be with the team or in his spot. Like, I spent $3 on Ballesteros. That's risky too. It's 3 versus 6. Again, totally different hitter versus pitcher. But the point is, I didn't even bid on Abel. I didn't even put $1 in. Soriano was the guy I was targeting. I got to go to my notes over here because that's too small. Noah Cameron, we talked about one for $7. Cameron, again, if Cameron was somebody that we knew was in this rotation, I probably would have bid the 7 for him that I bid for Soriano. Because again, we talked about the situation with the Royals. They're down 2 guys, both Lugo and Ragans. Neither one of these guys is in a spot where we're thinking that it's going to be a long-term issue. So how long is Cameron around? When you look at the rotation, Walker's obviously going to hold on to his rotation spot. Lorenzen's pitched very well this season for him. Chris Bubich has been their best pitcher. Like, unless they go 6-man rotation. Now, again, they're in these next 2 weeks, someone else could get hurt, right? That's just the nature of the beast. So Cameron goes for 6 with failed bids of 3, 5, and 2. Jose Caballero went for $5, failed bids of 2, 3, 1, 1, 1. He steals bases and he plays multi-positions. Not a very good bat. Doesn't play every day, doesn't get consistent playing time, but qualifies across the board positionally and steals bases, and there is definitely value to that in deeper mixed leagues. Matt Lugo for $4, failed bids for 3, 1, and 1. This is a good addition. Matt Lugo is somebody that I bid on in other leagues myself. Wasn't fortunate enough to come out victorious. What did I have? I had him at $3 in my bid process. So I lost to Dr. Roto, who beat me by $1. I was the $3 bid there. There, you see it right there. So Lugo's, started out very, very well. Let's pull his numbers up. He's 9 for 25, 3 home runs already. Actually, for the Angels, he's probably going to play a good amount here. And depending on your setup, maybe infield, outfield eligible. He might be an infielder who's playing in the outfield. So, take a shot in those deeper leagues on a youngster that should get some playing time here moving forward. Brett Beatty went for 4, failed bids 3, 1, 1, 1. Beatty's bid point would be much higher if we knew he was going to play every day. We just don't know that at this point, right? We don't know what the Mets are. still, they've got a bunch of weapons. They got a bunch of options. Luis Angel Acuna right now. Ronnie Mauricio is trying to work his way back from injury. But Beatty, when given the opportunity of late, has really been driving the baseball. I think he had, 4 home runs his first 6 or 7 games. But there's still the uncertainty of how much he's going to play. And a lot, again, if those of you in 10 or 12 team leagues, he's really not an addition unless he's playing on a consistent basis. Rowdy Tellez, 15 team mixed league, folks. Rowdy Tellez for $3. He went for $1 on the failed bid. Will Benson went for $2. Failed bid for Will Benson, $1. Benson has been blazing hot. Benson is, in theory, a 2020 player. He is somebody that I've talked about for years. I've had on my dynasty team. The problem with Benson is he's very streaky, as we're seeing now a good stretch. He strikes out a ton, and he's a platoon guy. So there's significant things going against him. But when he's hot as he is right now, Reese Hins is the guy that everyone talks about, and he hit another home run. They're trying him at first base to see if they can get him some time there. But Benson's just going to play for now. I mean, the Reds are dealing with some injuries, and Benson is killing it. Let's put some numbers to the face here. Will Benson. He's gone 11 for 30 with 5 home runs and 11 RBIs. He's actually gone, 10 for his last 19. So he's on 10 for 19 with 5 home runs. Even so, realize that he's 10 for 19 with 5 home runs. Realize that the bidding here was still $2 and $1. Because again, that speaks to the fact that he's likely to slow down. That speaks to the injuries he's dealing, the platoon situation and the strikeouts. As Angelo noted, that also takes into account Jake Fraley, likely to come back here soon. But again, you hit, you play. So we'll see how Benson does in the short term, but there are legitimate playing time concerns here in short order with the Reds outfielder. Slade Ciccone went for $2, failed bid for $2. When it's tied like that, you end up with a scenario where the team, I think, with the worst record, right? That's how it works. The team with the worst record gets the player. Ciccone could be, I guess, part of this rotation now with the Guardians. The former Diamondbacks prospect, $2 bid and at 100, right? Very 2%, very non-appealing here. You look at this rotation, they've obviously just lost Ben Lively. They're still waiting for Shane Bieber to come back. So Ciccone will get a chance. Very moderate streaming option kind of thing. I agree with the bid points here. Not a guy I'd get excited about. Pierce Johnson for $1. Yimi Garcia for $1. Logan Evans, for $1. Evans is in the rotation for the Mariners for now. It's unclear when all these guys come back, when it does happen. Obviously, we're going to see Evans step out of the way, but $1 for the short-term start. Caratini for $1. He's been pretty solid. 15-team mixed league, 2 catchers. He's top 30 catcher. I can go with that. Colton Gordon for $1 and Patrick Corbin for $1. Patrick Corbin for $1. He's been sitting on the waiver wire. I have looked at him for about the past month. I bet everyone else in my league has looked at him for the past month. He was finally added in a 15-team mixed league for $1 and no one else bid. I've seen some screenshots from folks. They've got you. Some of you have Patrick Corbin on your team. Some of you have him in your starting rotation. Be very, very cautious there. This room clearly was as well. All right, so let's go to the FSGA League. I'm having more success there. I think the FSGA League, I'm in 7th place. No, I was in 3rd place a week ago or a week and a half. So that team's kind of gone downhill a little bit here. As you can see there at the top, Jordan Romano, who is now the new closer. I didn't mention this earlier. You've all heard it by now. Jose Alvarado, who throws 99 miles an hour and supposedly drinks 10 cups of coffee a day. Also does PEDs. So he's suspended for 80 games. Crushes his fantasy value. The leagues I'm in, you can't hold a guy on the injured list that's on the suspended list. Some of your leagues might be different, so you have to judge that. Alvarado obviously screws his team because he's ineligible for the postseason. So even if he comes back and is great for the final month of the season or whatever, final 2 months of the season, whatever it might be calendar-wise, can't pitch in the playoffs. So this is a huge negative. I don't know why when you throw 99, you take PEDs. But anyway, he's gone. Romano was surging. Romano was a guy that I was going to add in multiple leagues this weekend for a couple of bucks because he's been pitching much better. He's been siphoning off some of the saves. We talk all the time about the history of the player, who he's been. He's done much better since a couple of early season blowups. Well, now you have to bid on him because Alvarado went down. So $89 is the bid on Romano. You can see there failed bids of 78, 78, 56, and then 38, 38, 37. Everyone 37. Everyone was in on Romano. He does appear to be the closer now for the Phillies. If he's on your waiver wire, As you can see there, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 of the 14 people bid on him. Go get Jordan Romano. Zebby Matthews. I had a Zebby Matthews bid. The order's wrong here. Sorry. I was moving things around. I had a Zebby Matthews bid for $106. Zebby Matthews then went out and pitched poorly in his first effort. So I dropped it to 89. Made a good decision because as you can see there, I was awarded Zebby Matthews for 89. There was a bid at 85. So I made a good move, dropping down, saving a few bucks. I am very surprised that no one else bid more than $22. I'm very surprised by that. I don't know if everyone got turned off by that rough first start. I'm very surprised. So luckily I got Matthews. I think that was a good addition. My FSGA team, let's pull this up so I can tell you what I'm doing here. I'm 6th place in this league, so not as bad as I thought. 6th place in this league. Zebby Matthews. Who did I move on from? Oh, I had injuries, so I didn't even release anybody to actually make that move. I added he and Jeffrey Springs. You can see there for $42. Added both those guys, and I didn't have to drop anybody because Bryce Miller went on the injured list. Tanner Houck went on the injured list. Tanner Houck. They say Tanner Houck might miss a couple of months now. They're trying to figure out what's going on with him. Pitch shape. I don't know if we'll see him contribute this season or not. But so I didn't have to drop anybody to make those moves. I also, since we're talking about my team, I also added Jordan Walker for $7 out of 1,000. Again, that's 1%. I've talked on this show about I'm just, but I'm looking at my team here and my starting outfield. I've got Gavin Lux, who's okay. So obviously should be playing second base. I've got Tyrone Taylor, who's okay, but really shouldn't be in my lineup. So, I grabbed Jordan Walker and, 7% or $7. It's less than 1%. If he's demoted this week, I don't care. If he hits the ground running this week and has some success against Detroit and Arizona, maybe we got something. So we'll see. It's one of those scenarios where taking a shot, taking a swing. Let's see if it pays off. It probably won't, but you never know what the hell. Let's go for it. So those are the moves that I made and why I made them. Let's see here. Miguel Vargas went for $76. Let me pull up my bid page again because I bid on him. What was my price point on him? 31. So Miguel Vargas went for 76. There you see my $31 bid there. I wouldn't have got him. There were other bids of 43, 43, and 38. Vargas all of a sudden has started to hit. And, he's somebody that has a really strong pedigree. He could qualify at multiple positions, third and first. His overall numbers are still very muted this year. But if you look at him the last month, he's hitting 320 with 6 home runs. The last 2 weeks, he's hitting 300 with 4 home runs, and all 4 of those home runs have actually come in the last week. He's actually 10 for his last 24. He's playing every day for the White Sox. He's in the lineup every day for the White Sox. He is somebody that could hit 250 with 20 home runs this year. He's not a big batting average guy at this point. He's not going to steal bases, and he's not hitting 30 home runs. So he's not an exciting pickup, but in a league like this, which is 14 teams, 30 roster spots, this is a good addition. So for those of you looking for a little bit of heat, in the short term, multi-position eligible, and for the last month, hitting very well. And again, not just a good prospect, like an elite level, probably as a prospect 30, something like that at the big league level, like overall in baseball when he was coming up. So it just taken him a while to try to find his footing. Logan Henderson went for $49. I saw some conversations about Henderson in the chat room. He went for 49, failed bids of 19, 21, 17, 48, 48. Ooh, that got to hurt. 248 losers on the 49. I went 37. That was me. Own another 38. Wow. So anyway, 2 bids, lost by $1. Ooh, that's got to hurt. He went for 49, 48, 48 were the 2 failed bids. Mizorowski is the guy everyone talks about with the Brewers, and he's the exciting play. He's also not here. Logan Henderson is, and Logan Henderson's pitched pretty well. Is he quite to the level of Mizorowski in terms of prospect status or dominance or anything? No. But he's not that far behind. And again, he's the one that's in the rotation right now. So with the uncertainty with Jose Quintana in his shoulder, Logan Henderson is somebody that this league was focused on. There's Will Benson, $44. Remember, that's 4% of the budget. Failed bids, 19, 19, 13, 12. Everyone likes Will Benson. It's just that playing time stuff that we talked about earlier. I obviously overbid for Jeffrey Springs. I needed pitching help, so I went for it. He faces the Phillies this week. That doesn't help. $3 bid there was the failed bid. Clayton Kershaw went for 39. Failed bids of 12 and 14. Caglianone, we talked about $24 there. Noah Cameron, we talked about $22 there. Ronas with the $1 high bid over the competitor. Cameron was at 21. Was that me? Let's see. Where did I have Cameron at? I had Cameron at 37. I had him at 37 behind Jeffrey Springs. So I went with the guy that I thought had better stability long term in terms of a rotation spot over the guy that's probably more talented in Cameron. Slate Ciccone, again, $21 here. Failed bids of 19 and 19. So right on Dr. Roto, right at the right price point. Canaro of the Cubs, who is actually performing pretty well. Where is he at? Let's pull him up. I want to say that he's hitting he's hitting 400. He's 8 for his last 20. And I misspoke. I said Cubs. He's Pirates. He was on the Cubs. But he's on the Pirates now. Last 10 games, hitting 350 with 1,000 OPS. He hits the ball hard. Not a terrible pickup. He's playing on a consistent basis, too. Not someone that you need to rush out for, but not a bad pickup in a deeper league. Let's see here. Colton Gordon for 19. Cody Clemens for 19. Ballesteros for 9. Kierkering for 3. Kierkering could siphon off some saves. Obviously, he moves up in the pecking order with the loss of Jose Alvarado. And then again, Matthew Lugo for $8 for Ronis. Good addition there. Really good addition at $8. All right, let's go finally to the final league here, Tout Wars. Tout Wars, I'm in third place. Dobbins was added for 87. Remember, in Tout Wars, we're on-base percentage instead of batting average. And on the pitching side of thing, we're solds. And we are innings pitched versus victories. So a guy like Ryan Gusto, if he's only pitching 3, 4 and a third, that really doesn't help because we're looking for depth. Dobbins, who's in the rotation now for the Red Sox because of the injury that we just talked about to Tanner Houck. He's basically locked in for the short term. We'll see. We talked about him last week. I think it was either Thursday or Friday last week here on the show. We talked more about Dobbins. Ballesteros went for $42 here. Mr. Allen went for $23 here. Cameron, again, $44 for DVR. Mick Abel. John L. John L. went all in on Abel. We'll see. I mean, again, it was basically, it's basically been, was it officially announced? It was unofficially announced it was Taijuan Walker. I'm surprised at that price point. For me, I would have gone the $44 Noah Cameron route, as I said earlier. We'll see. Maybe Abel holds on to the spot, and it ends up being a good pickup for John L. Dalton Rushing went for $1 here. Trent Grisham for $300. Trent Grisham was dropped in this league, huh? No, I honestly didn't even see that this week. I wasn't looking because I don't need an outfielder per se. I do need an outfielder, but I had no move to make. The problem is that I drafted Josh Young and I picked up Spencer Torkelson off the waiver wire. So I'm kind of backlogged at corner infield. I need to make a trade. That's the real move to make. It doesn't do me any good to drop Josh Young. He's been great the last 2 weeks. Certainly not dropped in Torkelson. So I kind of got a little bit of a roster lock scenario. Caratini for 11, Mikolas for 33, Little for 5, Benson for 75, so a little bit more there. Kyle Leahy for me, $14. I had Chris Martin. In this league, we set our lineups once on Monday, and that's it. So I know Martin hurt his shoulder yesterday. I don't know how much time he's going to miss. Maybe it's 2 weeks. Maybe it's 2 months. We just don't know with that shoulder injury of his. It does me no good to wait until next week to make a move here because as good as Chris Martin has been, his shoulder seems jacked up at the moment. I don't think Leahy's appreciably worse skills-wise than Martin. So as much as I love Martin, as much as I've talked with all of you about Martin, as much as I always push Martin forward, he's going on the injured list. There's no reason for me to keep him because he's not going to be announced on the injured list by the time we ran FAAB last night. He wasn't. He's going on the injured list this week. We have no idea how long it's going to be, 2 months, 2 weeks. I went for it and took Leahy, who actually I think has 10 holds or solds, and I think Martin has 9. So very similar outlook for those two guys. Production point for those two guys, Yohan Moncada for Greg Jewett for 18. Moncada got hurt. Didn't he get hurt? Didn't he get hurt over the weekend? He hurt his thumb again or something like that. Let me see. Pull this up here. Okay. Well, he played yesterday. I didn't even realize he played yesterday. Good job, Ray. 1 for 5 yesterday with a run scored. Okay, so he did hurt his thumb, but he returned to action. So Greg picked him up for 18 to cover the injury to Evan Carter, who we discussed earlier. Will Vest is a good pickup for $9. I admit I was doing the move. When the move happened to Martin, I was walking my dog I was out walking my dog, getting his miles running in. I should have grabbed Will Vest over Leahy. Same price point. Like, it would have been no difference. If I would have seen vest, I would have grabbed vest over Leahy, to be honest. So you should do that. That also, you shouldn't be making waiver wire moves on your phone while you're walking your dog. I guess that's the moral of the story. Lugo for $3 there by Greg Jewett. Good pickup there. And then Eli White for 22. White's really started to struggle after a nice stretch there for the Braves. Don't really like that pick that much, especially with Acuna getting close to return. Matthew Lugo, though, for $3. Really do like that. All right, so there it is, folks. Thanks for watching today. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to go to fantasyguru.com. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Support@fantasyguru.com to get signed up for any of the products we've got. Football. We're still doing hockey. We're still doing basketball. We're doing UFL. Mark Hogan's killing it there. What else we got? Slappy White with the horse racing. Like we've got MMA, golf. Check it out. Support@fantasyguru.com if you got any questions. And if you want to get the baseball package, $75 the rest of the season. Everything we do baseball, all of it, all the articles, all the chat rooms, all the rankings, all the advice, everything we do, that one low price of $75. So head over to fantasyguru.com. Now, what are you waiting for? Become part of the largest active community in fantasy sports. Do it. So we're here every day, Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern for about an hour on the show. A little short today. Monday through Friday at 8 to 10 Eastern, myself and Justin Fensterman on Elite Sports Game Time on SiriusXM. So from 8 to 10 at night, Justin are there 2 hours every night talking over live action, which at this point is mostly baseball. Jeff Mans is on 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. On Wednesdays, I'm with Jeff. So Jeff solo during the week. He's with Ted during the week. On Wednesdays, it's Jeff and I. That's the day I miss here. So I'm with you 4 times a week here. Justin Fensterman's with you on the 5th on Wednesday. Jeff Mans is on 3 to 6 Eastern Monday through Friday on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio and Elite Sports. I'm on with them Wednesdays. Justin and I are on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio Monday through Friday at 8 to 10 on Elite Sports Game Time. So 3 shows every single day, 1 here for free, 2 on SiriusXM. Get involved, folks. We've got lots of ways to help you out, to have fun, have some success, and become part of a great community at fantasyguru.com. So hope you're doing well. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time when we talk baseball for the first hour of the half hour of the show, and then visit with Armando Marsal and talk some football. I'm Ray Flowers. Follow me on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all those places at The Ray Flowers. Let's go. Have a good week. Talk to you all again tomorrow. I'm Ray Flowers, Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.